So really, that adjustment, is going on, and many of our leaders are being exposed. They are being exposed for their hypocrisy. And when the recession comes, and when the oil is now useless, societies, many of our Muslim societies, are going to have to now look and say, okay, wait a minute. Who is our real leader? What direction do we really want to go in? And so,
No, I'm not worried at all. I rely on God, Allah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He tells us in Surah Al Imran, ayah 154, that Allah might test that what is in your breasts, in your hearts, and to the mahas. So it's a purging of what's in your hearts and of your sins. So perhaps this is this purging, this test that we're going through. Do you see any examples of leadership right now at all emerging within Muslim communities or the Muslim world at large that are showing a good example during this pandemic?
there are many of the ulama, of the scholars and the leaders in the community, who are actually functioning in a beautiful way. They're dealing on the inside. There's virtual masjids going on. People are giving. People are coming to the surface. And when I look at leadership, it's not just the imams and the teachers. There's actually leadership coming from the community itself. You can see leadership coming from the doctors and nurses. And, it was said that in the UK and in America, many of the frontline workers who gave their life dealing with, people struck by the COVID-19 were Muslims. And you can see, sisters coming to the surface, youth coming to the surface. And so something is, moving in the Muslim Ummah. But I believe that it's actually a mercy to us that specific leaders are not identified. Because if specific leaders are identified, they will be hit right away. Forces of evil are set up in such a way that they can identify you and they can strike you. But now the Muslims are like a mass, just rising and rising and rising. You don't know, who's leading them. You don't know what's going on, what madhab, what movement, what's happening. And this is what happened in the past, when they would destroy our cities, kill our leaders, burn our books, and then suddenly there's another group of people who have embraced Islam, and Islam is rising up in another place. So really, that adjustment, is going on, and many of our leaders are being exposed. They are being exposed for their hypocrisy, and when the recession comes, and when the oil is now useless, societies, many of our Muslim societies, are going to have to now look and say, okay, wait a minute. Who is our real leader? What direction do we really want to go in? And so this is happening on the ground, and even in our communities in the West, this is now, showing us who are the real leaders. Because if the leader, bases his leadership upon controlling his flock and keeping people in the masjid, and he's the only one with knowledge, he's the only one who can make dua, he's in trouble now. Because he can't do it anymore. His masjid's locked. He may be sitting in his masjid crying, waiting for everybody to come. But what's happening is families are praying together. Youth are praying, learning how to, to give, the khutbahs and how to lead salat and how to get knowledge from the Quran. And so what is happening, it is a type of leveling of the playing field within the Muslim community. This is what's going on right in front of our eyes. And so when people come out of this and go back to the masjid, they're going to look at the imam in a different way now, because they had to pray themselves. They didn't have tarawih inside of the masjid. They had to lead salat themselves. Maybe they, if you have the madhab that allows you to read the Quran, they weren't hafid, but they read from the Quran. Sisters, are leading their own salat where there's no men, that is around. And so we will have to look at ourselves in a different way. And I believe this is really a positive thing, because that's the way Islam is supposed to be. That the leader, as they would say, Sayyid al-Qawm khadimuhum, the leader of the people is the servant of the people. And not the king or the sultan sitting on a throne and expecting everybody to serve them. Now we will see who really serves our community and who doesn't serve our community. So this is a wake-up call for those who will see, and only Allah knows what will happen when we come out. But I tend to look at things in a positive way, because historically, I'm reflecting back to other points in history when Muslims suffered. Pandemics, plagues, colonialism, racism, apartheid, but we still came back. And so everything is in place. Everything. We have the resources in the Muslim world. We have youth. If you look at the Muslim world, the majority of Muslims are actually under 25 years old. We have our sources. The Quran is there. The Hadith, the Sunnahs are there. We can get it even online. We have access to knowledge. We have a great history in back of us. It's something inside. And this is where I always refer to the fact that Allah told us in Surah Al-Ra'd, Inna Allah la yughayyiru ma biqawmin hatta yughayyiru ma bi anfusihim. Allah will not change the condition of a people until they change that which is in themselves. So it's our hearts. It is what is inside of us that's got to change. And this lockdown, this isolation in Ramadan is forcing us to look in. We have to look at ourselves now. We can't hide behind, a big dua with 500 people or a beautiful khutbah. We can't hide behind it anymore. Now we're here with our family, with just us and Allah, right? So we got to look inside of ourselves, and realize who we really are. Because this, I believe, is the greatest challenge. It's an internal challenge in order to be able to come out on a higher level, and to gain that change from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Do I feel that the New York police are providing enough protection, or do I have to have protection of my own? I look for protection from Allah.